In the early days of Nazi Germany, people started calling for improvements to the railway system. Adolf Hitler saw this as an opportunity, realizing the potential for railways to strengthen Germany's position as a global power. By 1920, the Deutsche Reichsbahn had been established to manage the German railways, and Hitler envisioned expanding the rail network beyond Germany, stretching from India to the United States. The Nazi regime used slaves from the territories they occupied, transporting them by train to forced labor camps in Germany. Upon arrival, these individuals were subjected to harsh, grueling labor with minimal food. As World War II unfolded, Germany's infrastructure, along with much of the country, was devastated. Now, can you imagine a train equipped with a theatre hall, luxury bedrooms, bathrooms, a canteen and a dining hall? It may sound impossible to create such an opulent train even today, but over 80 years ago, someone was actually working on this vision. That person was none other than Adolf Hitler, who, in 1940, planned to build a double-decker train unlike anything the world had seen before. Another notable one was the Deutsches Stadion, which began construction in Nuremberg in 1937. It was designed to be the world's largest stadium, capable of holding 400,000 people, measuring 800 meters in length, 500 meters in width, and 100 meters in height. Hitler imagined that, after 1940, all future Olympic Games would be held there. However, with the outbreak of World War II, this project was abandoned, and nearby villages were destroyed by Allied forces. Villagers even repurposed the wood from the stadium, signaling the project's ultimate failure. Yet, there was one project Hitler prioritized above all else before the war even began: the Breitspurbahn train project. But why did Hitler focus on such a large-scale endeavor during the critical moments leading up to the war? And what made the Breitspurbahn train so special? These are the questions we'll explore today. This story begins in 1920 with the formation of the Deutsche Reichsbahn, tasked with running Germany's railways. However, from 1914 to 1918, Germany was embroiled in World War I, which ended with the Treaty of Versailles. As a result, Germany was forced to pay 132 billion gold marks in reparations, which would be worth around $500 billion today. All German companies were ordered to contribute a portion of their profits toward these reparations, including the newly formed Deutsche Reichsbahn, which was required to pay 11 billion gold marks, even though it had only just started, with 15 billion. The financial pressure was immense, and the situation worsened with the Great Depression in 1929, leaving the Deutsche Reichsbahn with little to no funds to repair or expand the railway system. When the Nazis rose to power, calls for improving the railways grew louder, and Hitler seized upon the idea, setting out to enhance Germany's railway network. Just as the British had used naval power to establish control over much of the world, Hitler envisioned turning Germany into a global power by dominating the railway systems. His plan was to connect Germany to major cities across Europe and beyond. And it was this grand vision that led to the conception of the Breitspurbahn railway project. Initially, the plan was to implement this railway system throughout the German Reich and later expand it to the rest of Europe. But what made the Breitspurbahn train so unique? Let's dive into the details. The distance between two railway tracks is known as the gauge, and the standard gauge for most railways is around 1,435 millimeters. Today, the widest gauge is found in countries like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Argentina, where it measures 1,676 millimeters. Russia follows closely with a gauge of 1,524 millimeters. However, Hitler demanded that the Breitspurbahn have a gauge of 4,000 millimeters, which was unprecedented. After discussions with engineers, they managed to settle on 3,000 millimeters, still double the width of the standard gauge. With such wide tracks, the train itself was massive. It stood 23 feet tall, or 7 meters, and was nearly 20 feet wide, or 6 meters. To put that into perspective, the world's tallest man, Sultan Kösen, stands at 8 feet 2 inches. Now imagine a train towering 3 times his height. This gives you an idea of how colossal the Breitspurbahn was designed to be. The passenger trains were planned to be 420 meters long, while the freight trains could stretch up to a full kilometer. The trains were divided into 3 classes: first, second, and third, offering a level of luxury and scale that was unheard of at the time. The first-class coach of the Breitspurbahn train was designed to be the height of luxury. Positioned on the upper deck, it provided passengers with a superior viewing experience and ample space to relax. The seats were exceptionally comfortable, with armrests and coats were provided to keep passengers warm during the journey. The second-class coach, located on the lower deck, was spacious, but with slightly less comfortable seats compared to first class. It lacked the luxurious services available to first-class passengers, but still offered a good amount of space. The third-class coach, however, was far more cramped, with limited space and more passengers packed into the available seating. This train also boasted an array of features beyond seating. Bars and smoking areas were included, even though smoking was typically not allowed on trains. There were also designated reading areas and social spaces for passengers to interact. Perhaps one of the most remarkable features of the train was its cinema, which could accommodate 200 passengers at once. The wealthiest first-class passengers enjoyed private sleeping compartments equipped with large sofas, armchairs, windows, and private toilets complete with sinks and showers. Second-class passengers, on the other hand, had smaller bedrooms with just a sink, though a shared bathroom area with 4 bathtubs and 20 showers was available for everyone. The train even included hair salons and a pastry shop that offered snacks and cakes for the passengers. At the rear of the train, there was a viewing platform where passengers could take in the passing landscapes. To protect the train from aerial attacks, 20mm anti-aircraft guns were installed. However, all of these lavish features were only available to the wealthy passengers, while for the majority of travelers, the train experience was fairly ordinary. Now let's talk about the Ostarbeiter, or East workers, who were slaves transported from German-occupied territories. They had their own separate coach with 480 seats, where all the workers were crammed together. There were no beds in their coach, so they had to fold their seats to sleep at night. This coach was isolated from the rest of the train, preventing the workers from accessing any other areas. Their meals were prepared in a separate kitchen and delivered to them. Upon arriving in Germany, they were sent to forced labor camps, where they were subjected to grueling work and given minimal food. Between 1939 and 1945, the Nazis captured 5.5 million slaves, with half of... Despite the grand vision for the Breitspurbahn, the train was never built or put into service. The outbreak of World War II led to Germany's destruction, and the project was abandoned. After the war, some of the plans for the Breitspurbahn were presented to the Soviet Union, but they were never put into action or publicized. Hitler's main goal for the Breitspurbahn was to establish German dominance in a similar fashion to how the British had set up factories around the world. At the time, Nazi Germany was a formidable power, and Hitler sought to further strengthen Germany's influence. One of the key targets for the Breitspurbahn was Ukraine and the Volga Basin, which were crucial economic resources. Ukraine, often referred to as the breadbasket of Europe, was particularly valuable, and the Nazis planned to transport Ukraine's wheat harvest to Germany. This ambitious railway project was part of Hitler's larger goal of expanding the German Empire and spreading German ethnicity across the globe. When you look at the planned routes for the Breitspurbahn, it's astonishing. Hitler envisioned extending the railway from India to the United States. On the east-west route, the train would begin in Paris and pass through Berlin, continuing into Poland, Kiev, Ukraine, Rostov, and Russia. From there, it would extend into Iran, Afghanistan, and ultimately reach India. In addition to the eastern route, Hitler also planned to extend the railway westward, reaching the United States. The shortest distance between Russia and Alaska at the Bering Strait is only 85 kilometers, and Hitler intended to build a rail connection across this narrow gap, linking Russia's Yakutsk to Alaska and from there into Canada and the United States. Beyond these grand plans, there were also routes designed to reach Spain and another to connect to Istanbul, Turkey. These extensive plans highlight the vast ambition behind the Breitspurbahn project. Hitler was so committed to the Breitspurbahn project that even after the start of World War II, he continued to keep it as a top priority. He believed that if this massive rail network had been completed, it would have made it much easier to transport soldiers and weapons across various regions efficiently. Some German engineers argued that if Hitler had not focused on making the train so large and luxurious, and had instead accepted the standard track gauge, the project might have been successful. But perhaps it's fortunate that it didn't happen during his lifetime, as it could have drastically altered the course of history. Now, what do you think? Should there be a global rail network today that allows us to travel across the world, and is it even possible? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Friends, I hope you learned something new from this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. And if you enjoyed this video, I salute you. Until next time, goodbye